World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history. Over 70 million lives lost. Entire cities reduced to rubble. Nations shattered. But behind the destruction, behind the heroism and sacrifice, there was something else. Profit. War wasn't just fought on the battlefield. It was fought in boardrooms, in factories, and on stock markets. It was fought with money, contracts, and resources. For some, World War II was a crisis. For others, it was an opportunity. War is business. Before the war, the world was in turmoil. The Great Depression had shattered economies. Unemployment soared. Banks collapsed. Governments struggled. Then war came. And with it, money. For the United States, Britain, Germany, and even neutral countries, World War II became an economic lifeline. Factories that once made cars now built tanks. Companies that once made household goods now produced bullets. Entire industries transformed overnight. Suddenly, jobs were everywhere. Weapons had to be built, uniforms had to be sewn, food had to be supplied. The war machine needed to be fed, and economies roared back to life. World War II didn't just destroy, it created. It created jobs, wealth, and powerful industries that still shape the world today. With war came contracts, and with contracts came profits. Governments poured billions into companies that could supply the war effort. In the U.S., this became known as the military-industrial complex, a system where corporations and the military became deeply connected. Some of the biggest beneficiaries were companies still powerful today. Boeing and Lockheed built bombers. Ford and General Motors made tanks and military vehicles. DuPont and Dow Chemical produced explosives and synthetic materials. The U.S. government spent over $300 billion, a fortune at the time. Companies didn't just survive the war, they thrived. And it wasn't just the United States. Germany had its own war economy. Nazi leaders worked with major corporations to arm their military. Companies like Krupp built Germany's tanks and artillery. IG Farben produced synthetic fuel and chemicals, including the gas used in concentration camps. Volkswagen, originally created as a civilian car company, but during the war it built military vehicles for the Nazis. Even in neutral Switzerland, banks helped finance both sides, holding Nazi gold, much of it stolen from occupied countries. War was business, and business was booming. While Europe and Asia burned, the United States became the factory of the world. President Franklin D. Roosevelt called it the arsenal of democracy, and that arsenal was profitable. Ford built thousands of bombers. General Electric made radar and communication systems. Standard Oil supplied the fuel that kept Allied forces moving. Between 1940 and 1945, American industry produced 297,000 aircraft, 100,000 tanks, 2.5 million machine guns. This wasn't just a war effort, it was a gold rush. Companies didn't just meet military demand, they overproduced. They expanded their reach. And when the war ended, they were bigger, stronger, and ready for the next conflict. Wars cost money, and someone has to finance them. During World War II, banks played a silent but powerful role. In the United States, J.P. Morgan, Chase Bank, and Citibank provided loans and managed wartime finances. But what's less known is that some American banks also had financial ties to Nazi Germany, before and even during the war. Chase Bank, now J.P. Morgan Chase, continued business with Nazi-occupied France. Ford and General Motors subsidiaries in Germany built vehicles for the Nazi war machine. Swiss banks held gold looted by the Nazis, some of it taken from victims of the Holocaust. Even in war, money flowed across enemy lines. Because in business, profit doesn't choose sides. War doesn't just bring profits during the fighting, it brings profits after. When World War II ended, entire nations were in ruins. Cities flattened, economies shattered, and once again, business stepped in. The United States launched the Marshall Plan, a $13 billion program to rebuild Europe. But it wasn't just about charity, it was an investment. American companies flooded into Europe and Japan, rebuilding cities, selling goods, and opening new markets. Meanwhile, Germany's own industries were revived. The same corporations that built Hitler's war machine, Krupp, Volkswagen, Siemens, were restructured and restarted. War had destroyed the old economy. Now, new money was flowing in. The cycle continued. World War II changed everything. It turned war into a permanent industry. It gave rise to the Cold War arms race. It created the military-industrial complex, which still dominates global politics today. It made defense spending a permanent part of national budgets. Even now, the companies that profited from World War II continue to dominate. Boeing, Lockheed, General Dynamics, the giants of the arms industry. Banks that financed war efforts are still some of the biggest players today. Technology and medical advancements made for war later shaped modern life. The lesson of World War II? War is never just about ideology. War is never just about nations. War is business. And as long as war is profitable, the world may never know peace.